So I'd like to have you help me welcome Helen to the stage.
Thank you, everybody. Good morning. It's an honor to be with you today, not just as someone living with Alzheimer's, but as a global citizen, an advocate, and a proud Irish person who believes deeply in the power of lived experience to create change. We call it public patient involvement here. Just a few moments about myself. I was diagnosed of early onset in 2012. When I heard about that lumbar puncture, it brought me back a few days. It took 5 years to get my diagnosis, and it was, it's now almost been 13 years for me living with Alzheimer's. It's been one of fear, grief, resilience, empowerment, confidence, and joy. I have come to understand the crucial role of psychosocial interventions in maintaining brain health, as there is no cure for me, as you have just heard. One significant aspect of this journey was my experience with cognitive rehabilitative therapy through Trinity College Dublin and the Alzheimer's Society, which led me to the Irish Dementia Working Group. So after a gap of almost 12 months of tears and frustration, I finally picked up a diary and a whiteboard and then started writing everything down, which included reading papers and using technology to connect me around the world. This was not an easy task. There were days when I didn't feel like worth checking or reading. And of course, I forgot what I read in the papers a few hours after I read them, and I still do. However, it was essential to persist, and I knew it was crucial for my cognitive well-being. So during this challenging journey, I've had unwavering support from my beloved late husband, Sean, and my son, Martin, and my large family and friends who tirelessly encouraged me to keep going. Sean always reminded me about things that I had forgotten, like what I read in the papers, helping me to bridge the gaps in my short-term memory. While forgetfulness touches my daily life and sometimes causes anxiety, I found solace in the power of persistence and the love of those around me. I'm deeply grateful for the opportunity to be part of international networks like the World Dementia Council or the World WHO Global Dementia Observatory, Dementia Alliance, Alzheimer's Disease International, European Working Group of People with Dementia, and Global Brain Health Institute, and the Irish Dementia Working Group, of course, and the many lovely years I had with the European Working Group, which have shown me that's what's possible for people with lived experience, are given a seat at the table. And we're not just given a seat. We don't want a seat. We want to have our voices heard. We need more seats, and we need bigger tables, and we need to have our voices heard. I am privileged to be alongside amazing individuals who have also shared their experiences. Our collective aim is to raise awareness and foster better understanding of this condition, which we hope will eliminate stigma. Together, we are shedding light on the importance of brain health. Health for all of us, regardless of the challenges we face. So I've chosen the theme today of Voices of Resilience because it's close to my heart. Because resilience is not something people with dementia choose. It is something we live every single day, in every conversation, and every moment. We just remind ourselves, we're still here. I'm still Helen. I'm still me. I was diagnosed with young onset. I can tell you nothing prepares you for it. Not the diagnosis itself, but how people around you change. The looks, the assumptions, the silence, the walking across the street. And yet I've never felt stronger in my purpose than I do now, because I know that my voice and the voices of others with lived experiences are transforming systems, communities, and hearts all over the world. We're changing the landscape, not just here in Ireland. In Ireland, we have come a long way. Yes, stigma still exists through lack of education. I, for one, I stigmatized myself. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want to tell anybody because I thought I was mentally ill. But the landscape is shifting, thanks to initiatives of the Understand Together campaign through and the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland, training programs, and a growing movement of advocates like me sharing our stories. People are starting to see us differently. But advocacy is not a solo act. I could not do what I do without people like Carmel Gagan, who cared for her mother with great dignity and went on to establish Dementia Ireland, advocating for equity and change in rural Ireland, where people are often left behind. Carmel's work reminds us that dementia is not just city-centred issues. It lives in townlands, farms, fishing villages and mountain homes, and people in rural area deserve the same access, understanding and respect of everyone. I'm also grateful for my daycare at home, Erin Lynch through the Alzheimer's Society of Ireland. I cannot tell you, there are no words that I can describe what it means having that support. Carmel to travel around the world with me, and Erin to crack the whip, as I say to her every day that she comes. You know, there's no excuse for not doing a brain exercise. There's no excuse for not cooking a dinner. There's no excuse for not stripping my bed. You know, there's all these things. And then we walk the dog, and then we meet loads of neighbours, and then we go for coffee. So we must speak honestly about the inequalities that still exist around the world. And in some countries, a dementia diagnosis means support and care. In others, it means being accused of witchcraft, being locked away, or being banished from the family home. I've heard some heartbreaking stories. People chained to trees, or hidden away in barns. Not because their families are cruel, but because there's no system, there's no education and no safety net. To be honest with you, Carmel will tell you, I think I almost fainted only last year when I heard this again at another conference. In wealthy countries, we often talk about living well with dementia. Yet even there, in the very wealthy countries, people are quietly shut away. Families keep them at home with private care, out of sight, out of public life, still silent, still invisible. This is not dignity, and this is certainly not inclusion. So we must speak up for all people with dementia, regardless of their geography in the world, income or culture, because human rights do not have borders, and neither should compassion. My psychological safety, and it's a global right to have it, one thing that connects us, no matter where we live in, is the need for psychological safety. People with dementia need to feel safe to express themselves without fear or being ignored, mocked or dismissed. We need spaces where we're respected and not pitied, where we are heard and not hushed. It is not just about having a roof over our heads. It is about being able to say, this is who I am, this is what I need, and this is how I wish to live. When we are psychologically safe, we can participate fully, we can contribute, we can connect and create. Without that safety, we shrink and the whole world loses out, and our voices and our stories and our wisdom, and those are very important in the world that we live in, that we get our voices heard. I want to talk a little bit about innovation and technology in the community, and Sean talked about lockdown. Well, one of the greatest things that lockdown brought me was technology, and I was not too good at it, but Erin has certainly taught me a lot. But there's hope when you have it, and lots of it. So all over the world, people with dementia are innovating, creating, and leading. We are using technology in powerful ways, from artificial intelligence tools to communication apps, from online peer groups to smart home systems. And when I say about all of the things that I have for me at home, I have Alexa. Alexa reminds me to take my medicine. She reminds me to get up. She reminds me to check everything when I go to bed at night. Are the doors locked? Are the windows closed? Is the dog in? Have I done all these little things? So throughout the day, Alexa's chatting away to me. I also have my smartwatch, which unfortunately I didn't wear last week, but I have it on me today. So that's really important to me too, because it's linked to my heart monitor. So it helps me to live every day. So there's so many things that we're trying to promote all around the world. And technology gives us such a quality of life. But when it goes wrong, when the electricity goes off, as it does fairly frequently in rural Ireland, then everything is gone. The vacuum cleaner is gone, the alarm is gone, everything is gone in the house. So you have to start trying to fix everything again, trying to turn everything back on. And this is where I say about daycare at home. I cannot tell you, ladies and gentlemen, and I cannot say it loud enough, and I wish you were here, Sean, to hear it. It is the most, it is one of the greatest things that's happened to people like me in this country, to help us to live and to have a quality of life. A lot of the things we do, we try and get into schools and creating dementia inclusive communities and working with schools, and we try to educate the next generation. And the next generation are interested in technology, so it's a great conversation to have with them. I know people who have founded organisations, written books, created toolkits, and even run marathons with dementia. We're not your stereotype. We are your future. As great Maya Angelou said, you may not have control of all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. And our personhood, and our citizenship, and our spirituality, they all matter to me. They all matter to all of us around the world for people with dementia. So living with dementia does not take away our personhood. We are not half people. We are whole humans with emotions, identities, and desires. We are also citizens, and that means we have rights, not just to survive, but to thrive. And we are spiritual beings, many of us, in whatever way we choose, and whatever matters to us, whether through faith, nature, creativity, or connection. We seek meaning. We want peace, not power. We want presence, not pity. Too often people treat us as if we stopped existing once our memory fades. But I can assure you, my spirit has not faded. My curiosity has not faded. And my humour certainly has not faded. So we plan ahead with empowerment. We want to empower. Don't want to be defeated, no matter where we are in the world. One of the most powerful things that we can do as people living with dementia is to plan ahead, not because we're giving up, but because we are claiming our place in the future. We are not afraid to talk about how we want to be cared for, how we want to live, and how we wish to die. Advanced care planning is not morbid. It's a human right. It allows us to say, this is who I am, and this is what matters to me. And let us be clear, planning ahead does not mean that we have stopped living. It means we are living on our own terms. I often say, do not measure my life by what I can remember. Measure it by how I make people feel. Language is powerful. It shapes how people see us and how we see ourselves. In Ireland, as you know, it's very important to have fun. So I'm glad this is going out internationally because we want everybody to know that we're still laughing and having fun with dementia here in Ireland. We need to stop defining people by their disease. I'm not an Alzheimer's patient. I'm a person living with Alzheimer's, and I still have so much to give. And we must never underestimate the power of laughter. I once asked Sean to pass me thing for the television. Well, of course he didn't know what it was, so he handed me a cup. And then we just sat around laughing because we thought, isn't this hilarious that we can just be so normal without worrying about my memory. So humour helps. Love helps. Being included helps. And as someone once said, a sense of humour is like a good memory. If you don't have one, you learn to fake it. So we all know people with dementia are very good at faking. They're very good at covering up. So a call to action. Globally, we must have a call to action. We must continue our work. So what can we do to advance global advocacy in a way that is meaningful, inclusive, and just? Well, here is what I believe. Involve people with dementia of every stage of planning, research, and policy. We want to be there in the very beginning when you're dreaming up this nice piece of research that you're going to submit. We don't want to be there just as a token, but a diverse range of voices. We need to be there at the very beginning. We need to fund and empower the lived experience-led organisations like Dementia's or Alzheimer organisations around the world. We know what works because we live it. We have the lived experience. Recognise that dementia looks different around the world. What inclusion means in Sligo may be different to what it means in rural Uganda or coastal India or the Caribbean, but the principle is the same, dignity. We need to speak out against isolation, institutionalisation and abuse. Silence is not neutrality, but most of all, believe in our own potential. We are not waiting to be rescued. We are waiting to be invited to lead, to speak, and to contribute. So my final thoughts are, we're not a burden. We are part of the solution. Our lived experience is not weakness, it is our strength. As the author Arundhati Roy once said, there's really no such thing as the voiceless. There are only the deliberately silenced, or preferably unheard. We will not be silenced. We will not be sidelined. We are not fading. We are rising. Yes, we are rising right around the world, and we are having our voices heard. So together across continents and communities, we're building a world where people with dementia are not hidden but honoured, where we are not defined by decline but by dignity, decency and hope. And I spoke in the beginning about hope, because hope is all I have. There is no cure for me now. So the future is for hope, not fear. I may live with Alzheimer's, but I also live every single day with hope. Hope that one day across the world, diagnosis will come early and compassionately. Hope that research will continue to explore not just cures, but care and prevention. Hope that services will be built around the person, not the system. Hope that people like me will not be seen as fading away, but as evolving. And hope that young people, future carers, researchers, policymakers, and maybe even future advocates will grow up in a world where dementia is not feared or understood. When I started my journey many years ago with Alzheimer's Europe, somebody asked me when I was visiting a pharmaceutical company, when they decided to bring the voice of the person in the pharmaceutical company so the staff would see that we were alive and that we could speak and we could tell them what mattered to us. They asked me what did I want out of life? And I said, I want my legacy to be that I have done everything I can, and I use this voice that has been given to me to change the world, that nobody will ever be afraid again to say that they have dementia, whatever type it is. That in the future, with biomarkers and with new treatments, it will be like our heart disease. We can just get up and get our treatment and not have to say that something that is so stigmatized in many places of being mentally ill. And there is nothing wrong with being mentally ill, but it is looked at in so many countries that I deal with in so many different ways. So I want that to be my legacy. And that's why I'm here with you today, just to share my voice. Thank you for listening, for learning, and for walking beside me on my journey.